Hi, Saints John and Paul. My name is Jake Bartels, and I am the Assistant Principal and Activities Director at Southeast Polk Junior High.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christy Bartels, and I am a first grade teacher at Reynolds Elementary. We have two children who also attend the Southeast Polk schools. Emmett is in 8th grade, and our daughter Elise is in 4th grade.
After last year's spring break, we were all informed that Southeast Polk schools were closed and that no one was allowed to go into the buildings.
Of course, we were still expected to work, and we are used to working face-to-face with people. So our first challenge was to figure out how to teach children online. Of course, teachers hadn't been trained on how to use Zoom or Loom or Flipgrids or any curriculum that was online. And not only were we trying to battle figuring out how we're going to teach first graders and our young children, but I also needed to help families and to figure out how we can help them so their children can also learn in their homes with the internet. And if you live out in Reynolds, just having internet can be a challenge. As with my husband and I, we needed to get an upgrade on our CenturyLink very quickly.
And so it was just a different situation because for my job, I'm used to working face-to-face with people. I'm used to talking with students and talking with people. And so we had a lot of different things that we had to do. We had to close down a building that students still had all of their things in their lockers. They had their band instruments at school. They had clothes that they, were in lockers for sports. And so we had to figure that out. We had to call families in and try to get them to come to the school, clean out lockers. We cleaned out over 1,000 lockers, trying to get everything back to students.
Of course, professionally, we were trying to do the best every day we could, and we tried our best to make sure that learning was still existing. But any data shows that the youngest children struggled the most when it came to, in the fall, their fall data. And this start of this school year was, I would say, tougher for us than what it was in the spring, because we started our school year with Jake getting COVID.
Yeah.
And
so we had to quarantine the whole family. So when August was here and we were all getting geared up to go back to school, I came down with COVID, and thankfully my case was very, very mild, but still the entire family had to quarantine. And so,
which meant that I couldn't get into the building to get my classroom ready. And therefore, because I couldn't get into the building, I couldn't get any curriculum and materials. So I was relying on my staff, who are amazing people at Reynolds, and they all helped me. And I didn't even get to teach on the very first day of school, which for me was brutal, and nor did our children get to attend the first couple of days of school.
And so, just transitioning between the different learning paths where we were in hybrid and we spent a time where we were not in school at all. Those were just difficult times trying to go back and forth. I think we watched more school board meetings than what we've ever watched before. And, just to try to navigate that, just like everybody was, and trying to make the best of the situation. And so, on top of that, we were also trying to manage our own kids, Emmett in 8th grade and Elise in 4th grade with their schoolwork. So they were at home a lot without us. We were at work. They were at home. I think I answered more phone calls from them trying to be the referee between who's doing more dishes than the other person and things like that. But but that was another stress that we had just with jobs and with family.
And we would work all day and then come home at night and try and help our children with the things that they didn't quite understand at school. So it seemed like it was just an all day teaching for the two of us that, to help get them prepared for the next day. As with any parent had to do with their own children, it certainly was a process. Not only were we trying to figure out what schooling was going to be like for our students, but we were also trying to figure out schooling for our own children each night. It was also hard too because the learning pathways changed frequently at the beginning of the school year. So you would go to hybrid where they're going every other day, and then it would transition into all online or full time. And as an educator, that was exhausting to transition between each of the learning pathways, because now you're recreating a schedule and figuring out what's important to teach on those days. And then it would change again. And so there wasn't much consistency, which was really tough, even for our youngest, first graders. I'm teaching 6 and 7-year-olds. And for them to transition between all those hybrids were tough.
But, at the end of the day, there are also a lot of great things that came out of COVID for us. We got to slow down. Our kids are both heavily involved in sports and activities. And so we had a chance to not have to go to soccer practice and basketball and football and all these other things all the time. We spent a lot of time together. We were outside a lot. We walked, we had a loop, we walked, we ran, we rode bikes together. We played board games. We made things, meals that we had never made. And so for me, that's the greatest thing that came out of it, was the fact that we were able to really think about what our family means to us and spend time to get to know each other again.
And fortunately for anybody who attends the Southeast Polk schools, we're all going back to school every day. Our children are back to school. They're all involved in their activities. They're doing everything that they would normally do. And so we do feel like, although for all of us, it's still not quite normal, but we're moving in the right direction. And we feel like we're as close to it as we can be.
Yep.
Have a great night. Thank you, everyone, for listening.